It was ironic because I have a number of cases. I mean, almost every murder case I've had in the last decade has had geolocation data.
Used by the prosecution against the defendant, right?
They use Cellhawk data. I mean, literally, they're using this right now. So our investigator actually analyzed the same, there's a trial going on, it's called the YSL trial. There's this same data being used in that trial, and our investigator actually analyzed it for them in that case. So, I mean.
For them, you mean for the Fulton County DA's office?
No, for the defense looking at that data. So the point is, they're currently using the same data in another courtroom to prosecute someone, but their defense in our case was that it's not reliable.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, so this is the last video about Ashley Merchant's testimony at the Georgia State Senate hearing. So now they're going to talk about the phone records that show the late night communication between DA Fani Willis and the special prosecutor. Now remember, they had denied that there was any relationship before Wade was hired by Willis. But the phone records and GPS data says something different. So here is Ashley Merchant going to explain what this data says. Let's check it out.
I was talking about the other. So this is the Cellhawk report. And heat map is just like how many times it's pinging, you know. Heavy concentration is, you're talking a lot at this time, or you're at that location.
Look at what this says here on the side. During the period of records, so they tells you this. So this is from before. So they took the time right before Wade was hired by Willis. So they say there's approximately 12,000 interactive voice and text messages. So, and that's interesting because the news kept saying it was 12,000 text messages, 2,000 voice messages, but now we know that's not true. It was 12,000 altogether. So we have 2,000 voice calls. Wow, that's a lot of voice calls. Let me see. So there's 365 days in a year. So if you take one voice call every day, that's 365. 2, 3, what are you talking about? 4 times? 5 times? Wow, 5, 6 calls a day. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of phone calls. All right, and then you got 9,000 text messages. So, woof, they were communicating a lot. And this is before the relationship and before he was hired. So, you know, they may just be good friends.
There's a lot of usage. The other thing I was talking about, just to make sure it's clear, so that's Cellhawk. Cellebrite is a different program. Cellebrite, and it's Cellebrite. Cellebrite is a program similar to Cellhawk, but it downloads data in the phone. So like this one is you pinging off of towers. It's geolocation.
It's showing where you were.
Exactly.
At a certain time.
Cellebrite actually can get your texts, your pictures, your app usage, I mean, all of that stuff. So it's one of those things that if you want, if a defendant is threatening someone by text and they delete it, they'll take their phone and hook it up to Cellebrite. Cellebrite it makes what's called a forensic copy of the phone, but you can also limit the data. So it's a very expensive program. So not a lot of people have it. So when I have my clients use it, it costs a lot of money for them to have it done. But the DA's office has it. They have the software. They pay for it. You can find that in their open checkbook. The city of Atlanta police have it as well. But what you can do is you can copy cell phone. So, you know, what I had mentioned earlier is
you have to have the cell phone to do that?
You do. You have to have the cell phone.
So what, did Mr. Bradley give you all his cell phone? Or
No.
how'd you get Mr. Wade's cell phone?
So we did not get that data from Mr. Wade. So we only got the geolocation data from Mr. Wade. We
So they
cannot.
got his geolocation data.
I do not have the power to get the text messages. I don't have that power. I would have to have a search warrant. The state's the only one that has the power to actually get someone's text messages out of their phone. But my whole point in saying that was if I had been accused of having an affair and it didn't start, you know, and I said it started in April and someone else said it started in November, they have the ability, I don't have the ability, they have the ability to plug that phone into the Cellebrite and print out a report that shows all of the texts.
So Mr. Wade and Ms. Willis had that.
So just to be clear, what she's saying is that if they wanted to prove the relationship didn't exist, they could just hook their phones up to this thing and the proof would be right there. But they haven't done that for whatever reason.
They wanted to disprove your allegations, could have just used that Cellebrite program, and it would have shown no communications between them.
Yes, and it would have also showed the contents of the text. If the texts are romantic, if they're not romantic, if they're friendly, you know, and they would control the data. So if there's something that was privileged, they could redact it. If there was something that, you know, if they wanted to only limit it to like, we want to prove that we weren't talking romantically in November, they could limit it to that.
So they could have actually pulled up the text itself to say, hey, I need you to help me work on this case, or else, hey, I need you to meet me at the Love Nest?
Yes, 100%. Yes. I don't have that ability. So I don't have the ability to get a search warrant and get that data. All I have the ability to do is get that geofencing.
Well, who found out about these 12,000 texts and calls and all that kind of stuff?
That is what I was able to get by subpoena. So I was able to get the geolocation data by subpoena. What I can't get is what's inside of the phone. I can't get the texts inside the phone.
The words in the text.
Exactly.
But you were able to find out that they were texting each other
Oh, yeah.
prior to November 1st of 21.
Yes.
How did you find that data? Is that anything you've produced to us?
That is, so the Cellhawk data actually analyzes that. So you can see, and we just summarized 2021. So approximately 12,000 interactions, that's voice and texts for the year of 2021. And again, remember, 2021, he didn't get the contract until November of that year. So most of 2021, he's not under contract. Over 2,000 voice calls, almost 10,000 text messages.
How did they explain that? Did you confront? We're not privy to what all came out in evidence at the hearings that you've had. Did you get either one of them to say, that's not true, we didn't really talk 12,000 times? Or
No, what they did was they filed an affidavit saying that geolocation data is not always reliable.
Okay. Does that apply to Cellebrite data, though?
No, it doesn't. And it was ironic because I have a number of cases. I mean, almost every murder case I've had in the last decade has had geolocation data.
Used by the prosecution against the defendant, right?
They use Cellhawk data.
Now, remember, I said this when we were watching it live. I was like, well, hold on. The prosecution uses this geolocation data all the time, right? They put the prisons are filled with people who've been convicted based on this geolocation data. So it's just weird now that when the same data, they are in court saying it's good, put this person in jail for the rest of their lives. It's so good. Now, when it's used against them, it's not reliable. So it's fascinating how, the rules are for me, but not for thee. And again, if I'm a defendant in this county, I'm using this testament. Look, the DA says it's not reliable. They say that.
I mean, literally, they're using this right now. So our investigator actually analyzed the same. There's a trial going on. It's called the YSL trial. There's this same data being used in that trial, and our investigator actually analyzed it for them in that case. So,
all right. So their investigator worked for the DA and is using this same data in another big trial they have. They have the YSL trial. That's the rap stars who are being prosecuted for RICO violations. Same thing here. So they're prosecuting them, and in that trial, they're using this same data to say these people are guilty. And then the same investigator. And then in this one, the same investigator says, "Hey, here's the data against DA Willis," and they're like, "No, unreliable." Wow.
I mean,
for them, you mean for the Fulton County DA's office?
No, for the defense looking at that data. So the point is, they're currently using the same data in another courtroom to prosecute someone, but their defense in our case was that it's not reliable.
Okay. Got it.
Wow. I think at the end of the day, I think Nathan Wade and Fani Willis straight up lied. They lied to cover up the fact that they were in a relationship. I'm just going to be fair. My feelings is that I'm assuming they had the relationship beforehand, and she hires him and like, you can do it. And he's got, some good results. He's gotten, I think, a couple of plea bargains, from some of the Trump co-defendants. And I'm assuming they thought that was good enough to keep everything under wraps. But then when this thing comes out, they're like, well, it'll be easier if people believe that we had the root. First, it's going to be easier if they think it's all racist, right? That didn't work. Then Fani Wilson comes out and says, well, let's just pretend that the relationship started after you were hired. So, there was no conflict. But now we know that seems to be untrue. And then I think they doubled down with that, with lying about how she was getting paid back in cash only. We're talking about now, we know it's about 20 grand. So she paid him back in 20 grand, and she was saying she got the money from a supermarket, $50 nibbles from a supermarket. We're talking about 20 grand that she paid back. So we are talking about a lot of money, and just a lot of things that just don't make sense. But I think at the end of the day, I think Fani Willis should be removed from this case. I think the appearance of impropriety and the lies just are too much, because then it gets down to why. Why are they lying? And it's obvious they are lying because they want to keep this prosecution. So I think Ashley Merchant, attorney extraordinaire, she did a fantastic job in finding this, cultivating this, getting all this information out. For whatever reason, Terrence Bradley wants to give her all the information. Who knows? I know I've been theorizing that it's been some honeypot, or, maybe he, but, she's saying that they're just friends. So I don't know. But she did a hell of a job, not just going from what he told her, but for going to get the documents, open records request. Michael Roman, he's paid for fantastic legal representation, and she's done the work, and she did a fantastic job. So hats off to Ashley, and she's getting her due. I think, being in the spotlight with the documents and the work that she's done, it must be fulfilling to know that, hey, I put all this work in, people now recognizing it. So now, with that said, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. Tell me what you think about this situation. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.